Good morning, class 10 students. I welcome you all on this online platform provided by Jagriti Classes. We were doing the chapter 9th of class 10th, that is Heredity and Evolution. So in the last video lecture, we have started the chapter. We have seen the different important terms. What do you understand by the terms like phenotype, genotype? Then we discuss one important cross, that was monohybrid cross. So we discussed what do you understand by the term monohybrid. Monohybrid means whenever the genetic cross involves only one character. That is, for example, in the last we discussed many examples. One of those was, if I consider a single character, that is the height of plant, and all these cross were done by Sir Gregor Mendel. So Mendel performed his experiments on pea plants, and we discussed that Sir Gregor John Mendel, he took 7 contrasting traits from pea plant and then he performed these experiments. So whenever he took only one single trait, then we call the cross to be monohybrid. Monohybrid means in which only one trait is involved. And now we have discussed some examples of monohybrid cross. Again giving you a revision that how a cross is being carried out. That is, what is the general process of carrying out any cross. So for the cross you need two parents, that is parent 1 and parent 2. Both these parents would have their genotype. Let us consider the trait which we are taking as an example here, that is height of pea plant. So we know that you have two contrasting traits for this character. They would be the height of pea plant might be tall or the pea plant might be dwarf. So you have two contrasting traits, that is two opposite traits for the character height. This tall plant can be represented by the genotype capital T, and the dwarf plant is represented by the genotype small t and small t. So these are the genotype. We already discussed why the genotypes of the parent plant are always homozygous. So usually the parents are homozygous. Homozygous means this gene, that is the gene for the tall, would have the two alleles to be same. Whenever the parent has same kind of alleles, what do you mean by the term alleles then? Alleles are different forms of a gene. Every gene contains two alleles. So for tall here, for parents, the alleles would be capital T and capital T, whereas for the character dwarf, the alleles would be small t and small t. And because we are saying that these alleles are same, so we can call it to be homozygous condition. Homozygous, homo here means same, zygous means the gene which you are having. So in fact we term that the cross, if we want to carry out, the first step is the selection of parents. That is, you require two parents, parent 1 and parent 2. Now the alleles for parent 1 would be capital T, and that for parent 2 would be small t and small t. So after getting or after writing the genotype of the parents, you have to form gametes. So how do you form gametes? We know that for the formation of gamete, only a single allele is transferred to the gametes. In the parents you have two alleles. You can even call this condition to be diploid. That is, we can say the parents are diploid in nature. Diploid means for every character, that is for every tall or dwarf character, they contain two copies of a gene. So because two copies of a gene are present, we call it diploid. Diploid means having two alleles or two copies. Whereas if we talk about the formation of gametes now, the gametes are called haploid cells. And haploid here means the gamete only contains a single copy or a single allele. You know that at the time of formation of gametes, these two alleles, that is capital T will separate out. So at the formation of gametes, you have capital T in one gamete, and the next gamete would also be the same, that is, it would also have capital T here. So we can say in short that only a single type of gamete is formed in this, because you have both the alleles to be homozygous, or because both the alleles are same here. So each gamete will receive only the allele with is also homozygous in condition. Both the alleles of the next parent is small t and small t. So now this parent will also form the gamete, and each gamete of the parent would contain the allele small t, because there is no other option. This parent only has two same alleles, capital T and capital T. So each gamete, whatever the number of gametes are formed, they would have the allele to be small t here. Now, first one is selection of parents. Next is writing the genotype of parents. Remember, parents are always homozygous. Homozygous means you can also call it to be pure. And pure means they have same alleles. Parent 1 has the allele capital T, capital T. Parent 2 has an allele small t and small t. So we call this condition when both the alleles are same, you call it to be homozygous. Now, because they have two copies or two alleles present for one gene, they are known as diploid cells. Diploid here means having two alleles. And when the formation of gametes occur, the gametes only receive one allele out of the two when these are homozygous. And if the condition is that the alleles which you have been provided are heterozygous, then what would happen is, let's suppose you have any generation which contains the gene or the allele capital T and small t. So when you form the gametes, this is your one generation having the genotype capital T and small t. Whenever the gametes are being formed, what happens? At the time of gamete formation, both these alleles separate out. So you have now the separated out alleles. Remember, whenever you are forming the gametes, that is at the time of gamete formation, both the alleles capital T and small t separates out. At gamete formation, you can write the alleles separate out. Alleles are what? One is capital T, the other is small t. So these are the alleles. Whenever you are required to form the gametes, the alleles separate out from each other. And now here two kinds of gametes would be formed. Okay, I am saying two kinds or two types. I am not saying only two gametes would be formed. If we say that this species form 100 gametes, so here 100 represents the number of gametes formed, then there would be a chance that 50% of these 100, that is 50 gametes from the total number of gametes, would have the allele capital T, and remaining 50 would have the allele small t. So therefore we say that at the time of gamete formation, the alleles separate out from each other. Both these alleles, they get separated out, and then you have two types of gametes. The total number of gametes may be anything, but if we say total number of gametes formed are 100, then one type would be 50 gametes would have the allele capital T, and the remaining 50 gametes would have the allele small t. So this is the process how you form the gametes. And because each gamete is receiving only one allele, one copy of a allele, or you can say each gamete is receiving only one type of allele, so the gametes are known as haploid. Because here the generation or the parents was what? Diploid. It had two kinds of alleles, but the gametes received only one copy, either T or small t. So hence they are called as haploid cells. Haploid means which have only single copy of chromosome or only single copy of the gene. So these are hence called haploid cells. So now you see, you have the formation of gametes with you, and these gametes are called haploid cells because one of the allele here is capital T and the next allele here is small t. And after the formation of gametes, do you remember the next step? First one was selection of parents, writing the genotype of parents. The next one was formation of gametes. Now what was the third step? The third step was cross between the gametes formed. So there would be a cross between capital T and small t, and after this cross you would get a genotype capital T small t, and this is called the F1 generation. So whenever you take the parents, you form gametes and then you cross these gametes, then the genotype or the generation which you obtain is called as F1 that is first filial generation. So this one would be the F1 generation. Now next is what? So after getting the F1 generation, what was the step? The step was this F1 generation needs to be crossed out or needs to be self-crossed with each other. So now we are having our F1 generation to be capital T, small t, capital T, small t. Now I am taking two cells from the F1 generation or two offsprings of the F1 generation. All the offsprings produced in this F1 generation, they would have the same genotype. Genotype means the genetic constitution or the genetic makeup of an organism. And phenotype means the physical appearance. If I tell you what is the genotype of F1 generation, then you will say the genotype is capital T, small t. But if I ask you what is the phenotype of F1, what is the phenotype of F1 generation here? So you will say that capital T and small t. We know that capital T stands for the character tall and small t stands for the character dwarf. And because if you have learned the 7 contrasting traits of pea plant given by Mendel, which I discussed here in the form of a diagram, then you will remember that whenever you are taking tall and dwarf, this tall act as the dominant trait and the dwarf act as your recessive traits. So here in the F1 generation we say the dominant trait will get expressed, and even you define the dominant trait in this manner only. If I ask you what is the dominant trait or simply define me, what do you understand by the term dominant? So dominant is the trait which gets expressed in the F1 generation. And you know that because tall trait is dominant here, so the phenotype, that is the physical appearance of capital T and small t would be, it would be a tall pea plant. So the phenotype here is tall, whereas capital T, small t represents the genotype. Most of you remain confused that how can we know if we take any two characters of our own choice, then how would we know that which character is dominant, that is which character will be expressed in F1. Okay, this remains a confusion among most of the students. So the answer to this is all the crosses which we are studying, these are based on the experiments done by Mendel. Sir Mendel has already done all the experiments, and then the results which he has obtained, then he has made a cross, given a phenomenon, and then he has told that in the F1 generation, because when Sir Mendel took two kinds of plants, the tall pea plants and the dwarf or the short pea plants, then what Mendel got is, he got in the F1 generation, all the plants were tall. So then Sir Mendel proposed the law that in F1 generation, you get only that character expressed which is dominant. And hence, here we know about the pea plant. We know according to the table that whenever you are considering the height of a pea plant, then the tall character is always dominant over the dwarf height. If you are considering the seed color, we have read 7 traits: pod shape, pod color, seed shape, seed color, flower position, okay, everything we have done. Then if I ask you, if I take two seed colors, yellow and green, which seed color will I get in the phenotype of F1? Seed P has two kinds of seed color. If I give you a question here that pea plant has two type of seed color, one seed color is yellow and the next one is, it could have green colored seeds. So among these, if I take the seed color, I perform a monohybrid cross. Then in the F1 generation, I am asking you what would be the phenotype of F1 generation here. So now you should remember, you should learn that when we talk of seed color, then yellow seeds, that yellow color is dominant over the green, that is a recessive trait. So because yellow color is a dominant trait in seed color, talking about pea plants particularly. So according to the table, we have learned that for seed color, you have yellow to be dominant. Then the phenotype of F1 generation would be yellow colored seeds. So this gives you an idea that what would be the phenotype. Any character which is dominant would be expressed in your F1. And what would be the genotype? You can carry out the cross and then you can know that genotype is capital T and small t here. For that, the genotype for yellow colored seeds, if you take capital Y for yellow and small y, then the genotype would be capital Y and small y. So in this manner, you can find the phenotype and genotype of F1. I hope now the concepts are clear. Okay. Now we were discussing the basic phenomena, how to perform a cross. We took the parents here. Then we had the formation of gametes. Now after having the formation of gametes, you perform the cross. And when you perform the cross, you get the genotype and the phenotype of F1. That is, the offsprings which you obtain here are called as F1 generation. After getting F1, what is the further steps? After F1, you take the F1 generation. Then these F1 generation behave as parents now. And now we self-cross them. Why this is called self-cross, or even it is known as mating. Okay, it is known as self-cross because you are taking F1 and then you are crossing it with F1 itself. Then it means it is known by the term self-cross because you are taking or crossing between two F1 generation itself. Okay. So now we self-cross the F1, and before self-crossing, because we need to cross, then whatever you have here, you have to form the gametes. And I told you, during the formation of gametes, the alleles separate out. I discussed just recently that because you have different types of alleles in F1. One allele is capital T, next allele is small t. So the alleles will separate out. So now you have, for the formation of gametes, you have separation of alleles. So one allele is capital T, the next allele is small t. So the alleles will separate out from each other. And now we say that because you have a heterozygous condition, heterozygous means both the alleles are not same, or you can say both the alleles are different. And during heterozygous condition, you have the formation of two kinds of gametes. Here, two kinds of gamete form. One category or one type of gamete would have capital T and the next type would have small t. Then I am again reminding you, I am not saying how many number of gametes would be formed. This does not signify that two gametes are forming. No, two types of gametes are forming. If you have the doubt still in your mind, you can just go back and then you can recap. Okay. So now two kinds of gametes, capital T and small t forms. Similarly, from here also you have the formation of two gametes, two kinds, that is capital T and small t. For solving this, now after formation of gametes from the F1 generation, you have to find the F2 generation. And for finding the F2 generation, we use a square. And for dihybrid cross, you can see you use a square, and this is known as Punnett square. Okay, so this square is called as Punnett square. Now, what we do is, you write the first F1 here, that is the first parent, capital T, small t, or we'll write the parents. So let's suppose we have this parent to be the parent A, and this is your parent B. So you write parent A and parent B. Now you, in these boxes, you have to write the type of gametes. So parent A has two kinds of gametes. Let's suppose I call it to be A1 and A2. So here the gametes formed by parent A would be written in these two top boxes, which would be capital T and small t. And the gametes formed by parent B, call them B1 and B2. So you have to write the values of B1 and B2 in these boxes. Okay. So the values of B1 and B2 are what? B1 is your capital T and B2 is the small t. So you have two kinds of gametes. Now we'll do the cross, and then the values which would come in these boxes, it would give us the answer for F2 generation. So F2 generation is what? In this box you have capital T and small t. So you will capital T and capital T. In this next column you have small t and capital T. So we'll write capital T, small t. Then here capital T, small t, and in the last you will be getting answer small t, small t. So these are the four different types of generations which we got for F2. And now you have to find the phenotypic ratio and the genotypic ratio of F2. So for finding the phenotypic ratio, you have what? Or first we'll write the genotypic ratio. The genotype of this F2 is, you have capital T, then you have capital T, small t, and the last one is small t, small t. So this is the genotypic ratio, or the numerical ratio would be 1:2:1. And for the phenotypic ratio you have what? This would be tall, this plant would be tall, this plant would be tall. So you have two categories, tall and dwarf plants. In both these categories, three of the genotypes will show the physical appearance of tall, and then one genotype which is small t, which is a recessive trait, would show the appearance of dwarf. So this was again a complete revision of monohybrid cross. Now you can also see the previous video. This was a recap how you perform the basic cross and what is monohybrid cross, how you find the genotype and phenotypic ratio of the F2 generation. Now we are coming to the dihybrid cross. So what do you mean by the term dihybrid? Dihybrid cross means when you take two characters and then you perform the cross. Such cross is known as dihybrid. I am again repeating, dihybrid cross is a cross in which you take two characters and then you cross the two characters and obtain the F1 and F2 generation. So let's start dihybrid cross. See, in dihybrid cross, here we have two characters. That is, the parents are round and yellow. The first parent here is round and yellow. And here it is wrinkled and green. So if we write the definition of dihybrid cross, then dihybrid cross is a cross which is made between, or in short I am writing, it involves two traits or two characters, we can say. It's one and the same thing. So dihybrid cross, it involves two characters, and here the two characters which are involved are seed shape and seed color. So these two characters are involved in the cross which is shown in the diagram. So you have two kinds of seed shape. Here we are talking about pea plants. So in pea plants you have the seed to be round, or it can be wrinkled seed. Okay. For seed color, again you have two contrasting varieties or two traits. Seed color may be yellow or the seed color may be green. And we know here the round is the dominant trait compared with wrinkled shape, and here the yellow color is a dominant color compared to the color green. So now because round is a dominant trait, I told you for dominant trait you use capital letters or capital symbols, and the same symbols in smaller letters is used for recessive. So if I say that round and yellow plant, then for round I will use the symbol capital R, capital R. Why I am using it the capital R twice? Because these round seeds, they will have two alleles, and the parents are pure or homozygous. It means they will have same allele, capital R and capital R. And for the yellow color, because it is dominant, we would use the alleles capital Y, capital Y. This gives you the first genotype of the parent, capital R, capital R, capital Y, capital Y. And hence, if I want the genotype of parent 2, then the genotype of parent 2 would be what? Parent 2 is wrinkled and green. Wrinkled is recessive of round. So because for round we use the symbol capital R, for wrinkled I will use the same symbol, I will use R but in smaller alphabets. So for parent 2, the wrinkled shape can be written as small r. And now the parent 2 has the color, seed color, green seeds. Because yellow was dominant, we used capital Y. So here we will be using small y. This represents wrinkled and this represents green color. So firstly, you should know how to make the genotypes of the parents either in monohybrid cross or in dihybrid cross. Whichever cross you are performing, the first step is, if you are given that make a cross between seed shape and seed color, you will get an idea that because you have to make a cross between taking two characters, this means it is a dihybrid cross. Now you have to see the contrasting varieties for seed shape and seed color. Then you have to decide what would be the genotype of parents. After finding the genotypes of parents, here see the same genotypes are mentioned. Now we have the formation of gametes. So how do you form the gametes from the parents? The parents were capital R, capital Y, capital Y, and the next parent was small r, small y containing alleles. So now we have the formation of gamete. I told you during the formation of gamete, each gamete only receives one allele of one character. So here you have two characters, round and yellow. So the gametes, now what would happen? All the alleles will separate out for the formation of gametes. So you have all the alleles separated out from each other because we want to form gametes here. And when all the alleles will separate out, I said each gamete would contain allele for both traits. So the first trait is seed shape. It is denoted by the allele capital R and capital R. So for seed shape, from capital R, a capital R will be written in the gamete, and then you have the next trait to be seed color, that is capital Y, which is signifying yellow color here. So each gamete will receive only one allele for each trait. If I am writing one, then I will say each trait should be represented by one allele. So from these two, one allele will be received in the gamete. So the gamete formed from the first parent would be capital Y, capital R. And in a similar manner, the second gamete would be small y, small r. So these are the two kinds of gametes which are formed. I am again repeating this. The parent which you had, now let us consider the second parent, which is small r, small y, small y. You know that this small r is for wrinkled shape. Okay, and these small y are for green color. Small y here represents green color. Now if we want to form the gametes, I told you gamete will have what? One allele for each trait. How many traits are there? How many characters? Two, wrinkled and green. So it would have one allele for wrinkle and one allele from green. So the gamete, if I form from this genotype, it would have one allele, one R for wrinkled and one Y for green. So this would be the gamete which would be formed for the next parent or the second parent P2. Now after the formation of gamete, what you have to do? You have to fuse or cross the gametes, and after crossing the gametes, the generation which you obtain is known as the first filial generation or F1 generation. So now this is the F1 generation which we have obtained here. Okay, after getting the F1 generation, what we do is we cross the F1 generation. So how do we cross? Now you have to form the gametes from this F1 generation. So the F1 generation is capital Y, capital R, small r. Or according to the cross which we have done, we can also write the F1 generation to be capital R, C. These were the two gametes. Now you cross them, capital R, capital Y and small y. and hence now this is our F1 which we got. Okay, so now we'll be taking the F1 generation, capital R, capital Y, small y. And you know we take two F1 generation or two F1 offsprings and then we self-cross them. So once you self-cross, what you will get? So for crossing them, you have to form the gametes. Now what kind of gametes would you obtain? See, for the formation of gametes from the first parent, all the alleles will get separated. So now you have separated all the alleles, because you know for the formation of gametes all the alleles get separated. And now what? All these alleles can independently arrange with any of the combination. But I told you each gamete, whatever gamete you have, you should have an allele for shape and you should have an allele for color. Okay, because we have two traits, shape and color. So each gamete should have one allele for shape, one allele for color. See, if I am taking the first allele, capital R, both these capital R and small r for the shape and these two alleles are for the color. Now if I take the first allele, capital R, in my gamete, then I can take either small y or capital Y, which is responsible for color. So in the first case, in the first gamete, I am combining this capital R with capital Y. So this would be the first gamete. Now if we talk about what would be the second gamete which would be formed, so now I am keeping this constant, that is I am taking the allele capital R. But with this capital R, next time I am taking the allele small y. So the next gamete would be capital R and small y. And in this way you can form the third gamete and the fourth gamete. The third gamete would be, now you are taking the shape of the seed to be small r. So with small r you can take capital Y once, and with small r you can take small y once. So these would be the four possible types of gametes which you can form from the given situation. Okay, I hope you understood. Each gamete should contain one allele for shape and one allele for color. So let's write down the gametes which we have. You have capital R, capital Y, then you have capital R with small y, then you have small r, capital Y, and small r, small y. So these are the gametes which are obtained from F1 generation. In the similar manner, you have taken two F1 generation. Okay, see here you have two F1 generation. So from the first you will have four gametes formed. In the similar manner, from the second F1 parent or the second F1 generation, you will have the same four types of gametes formed, because both the F1 are same in genotype and hence they will form the same type of gametes. So these are the gametes which we have written from the first F1. Okay, I am writing these are from the one F1 generation, and now you will take from the second F1. So the second F1 will also have the same kinds of gametes. Then you have small r, capital Y, and small y, small y. Now what you have to do is you have to make this cross between the gametes accordingly as we did in the monohybrid cross. And then you will get different varieties or the different genotypes of offsprings. So let's make the cross in these. So in the first column what would come? Capital R with capital R. So you have both capital and Y, Y. So in this way you can complete the table. Let's complete it. Then in the next column you will have capital R with capital R, and here it is written small y. So you will have what? You will have small y with capital Y, and hence the genotype would be this. We always try to write the dominant character first and then the recessive. Okay, if I write capital Y small y or small y capital Y, it's one and the same thing. It means it is a heterozygous condition. But the standard adopted for writing the genotype is first you should write the dominant trait and then you should write the recessive one. In any condition where the dominant trait is absent, then you can write the recessive in the either way. That is, when you have both the recessive traits, all the notations are correct. But when you have one dominant trait, then it is suggested that write the dominant trait first, which is followed by the recessive. This is also the same thing, but it is suggested to write in this correct manner. And hence I am writing capital Y small y and not small y capital Y. Now we will be completing the table. In this it would be capital R, small r, capital Y, capital Y. Now you can complete the table in your notebooks too. Okay. So here I would be getting capital R, small r, capital Y, small y. In the next you see what we will be getting. We will be getting just one small y, rest all would be capital. And moving to the next, the combination would be, and can you say the phenotype or the physical appearance of this? You have capital R, capital R. That means they would have the shape round. But you have small y which denotes green color. So the phenotype of this column would be round and green. Okay. Now we will be completing in a similar manner the phenotype of all the generations. And in turn you can also write the phenotype of the generation. For this genotype capital R, small y, the phenotype is round and green colored seeds. So you should also able to know the phenotypes from the given combination of genotypes. In this column, what would come is, you will have just one capital Y, that is capital R, that is the dominant, and rest all you will have recessive traits. So in this manner, you can complete all the genotypes, and then you have to also find the genotype and phenotype ratio. I'll again show you how I am completing or how I am writing the genotypes in this column. Let's suppose you have to write the answer for this column. For this column, the gametes are small r, small y. So small r and small y we'll write. Then it belongs to this row. So for this row, the gametes are small r and capital Y. So when you combine the gametes for the shape and for the color, you will be getting this combination. And I told you writing this is correct. But you see, we have written for the color capital Y after the recessive one. So now what we'll do is, we'll write first capital Y followed by small y. Okay, this would be the correct. And coming on to the last row, this gives you the following genotypes. And now you can complete the table in this manner. You will be asked, draw this table for dihybrid cross. It is called as Punnett square. And this, what do you mean by Punnett square if you are asked to define it? This gives you a tabular representation to find the genotypes of offsprings obtained as a result of cross. And instead, you can also write, it gives you a graphical way of solving the genotypes of offsprings in the F2 generation, either for monohybrid or for the dihybrid cross. So you get this kind of combination, and these all combinations, you have a total of 16 combination, okay? 4 into 4 gives you a total of 16. So all these 16 combination are for F2 generation. Now you have to find the phenotype and genotype ratio of F2. So from the Punnett square data, you can find the phenotypic ratio. The phenotypic ratio is what? First you write the parents here. So the parents which we have taken were round and yellow. Okay. See, the parents were round and yellow, wrinkled and green. So we'll be writing the parents. You get round yellow. Then you have wrinkled and green. So if you count it out from the table itself, like how this is for round yellow. This is again for round and yellow. This is again from, see, capital R small r means the shape would be round. Capital Y small y means the color would be yellow. And hence when you write the phenotypes, you can count them out. So out of the total 16, 9 combinations would have round and yellow characters, and only one combination would have wrinkled and green. And now the cross combinations, you will see that 3 of them, if you total these, 9 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1 gives you a total of 16 generations. Out of those 16, 9 are having round and yellow, 1 is having wrinkled and green. But the next 2 would be with round, with the shape round you have the color green, and with the shape wrinkled you have the color, with wrinkled you now have the combination of yellow. So this 9:3:3:1 is the constant phenotypic ratio. It is a fixed ratio, you should learn it. 9:3:3:1 for dihybrid cross. And talking about the genotypic ratio, if you say it, it would be 1:2:2:2:4, then 1:2:1:2:1, and a total of this ratio gives you total 16. So this is the genotypic ratio. Here 1 is for capital R, capital Y, capital Y. This 2 represents capital R, small r, capital Y, capital Y. This 2 stands for the genotype, capital R, capital Y, small y. You can count that in the total 16 combination, this genotype is coming only once. If you see the table, you can see that capital R, capital Y comes only once. This combination is not present in any of the table, any of the remaining 15 offsprings. Then we wrote capital R, small r, capital Y. It comes 2 times. So let's see. You have capital R, capital Y, small y. And then there would be one more combination of this type. See, you have this combination. Both these combinations are same. Capital R, capital Y and small y. And hence we say that this combination is coming 2 times. Similarly, you can find how many times a single kind of combination is coming, and in this manner you obtain the genotypic ratio. So this gives you a fixed phenotypic and genotypic ratio for F2 generation for dihybrid cross. Now in the next video we have completed both the crosses here. In the next we'll be doing the laws of inheritance or genetic laws proposed by Mendel. So you have 3 kinds of laws: law of dominance, law of independent assortment, and law of segregation of gametes. So we'll be doing these 3 laws, and then we'll be moving on to a short topic which is sex determination in humans. And this would complete whole of your chapter. Then you would be required to do all the conceptual problems which you have as in-text question in the books and as exercises given at the back of the chapter. I hope you understood. Now, as I gave you an homework for monohybrid cross to perform the examples, now you can also perform 1 to 2 questions. Take any 2 characters of the pea plant, take the parents, make the cross, and complete the till F2 generation, okay? Then only you will be able to do this. Without practice, it is not possible that you will make the table in one go. So please do practice the monohybrid and dihybrid cross. These are very important. And in the next video lecture or in 1 to 2 class, we'll be finishing up this chapter, because evolution is being deleted out by CBSE for the new this academic year 2021. So we'll not be doing that part now. We'll be only doing till the last topic, sex determination in human beings. Thank you for joining today's class. Hope to see you again soon. Thank you.